Hello, all of you beautiful subscribers and lady subscribers. How are you doing today? Today I'm talking about a book that I'm listening to at the moment called Hollywood Babylon. And my thoughts on that. I'll tell you all about it on the other side. So I was listening to Candace Owen, who now has gone into maternity leave, and she was talking about her book clubs, okay? And she was listing off these books that she was reading in the book club, and one of them was Hollywood Babylon. And I thought, well, I'm not in Audible anymore. I dropped out of Audible, and then I might go back, but it was getting boring. So I looked in YouTube, and sure enough, it's there. It's this guy, this random guy who's reading the book, and he does a nice job. He's a nice guy. And I'm listening to the book. So I went out for a run the other day. And as always, I listen to something that's quite, thought-provoking before I talk to the emissaries. Well, Hollywood Babylon is more than thought-provoking. It is a traumatic listen. That's what for me, or a traumatic read if you're reading it. Traumatic. It's a story of how Hollywood began, and like it, in the early 1900s, it started. But it was like no sooner had it started than it fell into debauchery and drug use and killings and sex and oh my God, it's absolutely like immediately. I think they were talking about like starting 1912 or something like that, and by 1920, so many people had died, and there was scandal after scandal, and opium and morphine and cocaine and alcohol. Oh my God! And they were in the time when the alcohol was banned, and yeah, it was wild. And as I talked to the emissaries after I didn't listen to it all. It's quite a long book, so I'm working my way through it. They said to me like this. The question was, hello, good morning, how are you doing? Yeah, what are you listening to? But the tone of the voice was like, what on earth are you listening to, Gordon? And I said, no, it's a scandal. I didn't realize it was going to be so dramatic, and in those days you assumed that everything was, like a lot more decent. People were more decent. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I said, so why? What is that all about? So much hurt and so much pain and so much depravity. And they said, yeah, well, it was, and I was aware of the timing of it, the beginning of that century, beginning of, and they said, yes, at the beginning of the timeline. Okay. And they seem to be quite fixed on the fact that this timeline is only that last century and where we are now. So just as an aside, before I get into what we talked about, what it looks like to me, the sense that I get now, is that this timeline that we're in has been nothing more than a steep decline from the beginning. Like all of these horrible institutes and institutions and stuff, and all of the bad stuff was just instigated, and it was like downhill at speed. That's, we've got, it's been like, because I assumed it was like a very long journey, this dark ages. When I used to talk a long time ago on the videos that we've been in the dark ages and now we're moving into the light, and I imagined it was a long time. No, we were plunged into the dark very, very quickly, into the deepest, darkest. I mean, look at Crowley. He was around. Crowley was there, at that time as well. He passed through Hollywood. He was writing books about called, oh my God, White Stains or something, a horrible book or something stains. Anyway, depravity and horribleness, and all in a hurry. So I said to the emissaries, isn't that, like almost, what's the point? What's the point of so much suffering and so much pain and so much horribleness and so many deaths, is what I said. And they said to me this, They said, well, can we ask you a question? When you're playing a video game and the character dies, do you go into mourning? And I said, no, I don't. I just think, all right, well, I'll do it again. And this time I know what's going to happen. They said it's only horrific for you in 3D because you're looking at it from the 3D perspective. The same as if you were real inside of a game. If you really were inside of the game fighting, you wouldn't want to die and it would be horrible. But when you are external to the game, it's like, well, my character's died, but it doesn't matter. I'll just have another one. And they said that's, in essence, what this is all about. When you hear, yes, it seems awful. And, even them saying that, I still struggle to get my head around, because some people have to suffer so much. They suffer so much. They have awful, awful experiences. And it just seems like excessive, like a bit heavy, isn't it? It's a bit of a heavy do coming down here. But they were saying on the other side, it's like, well, the avatar has died or has had to suffer, but that's fine because I'm going to do it again. And when we get to the other side, what they're saying is that's where we reflect. When we learn our lessons, we're able to write a better plan. We're able to overcome all of those things. And so very much it's like a game. It very much is like a game, but it doesn't feel that way when we're here. There's nothing far from a game. And I find myself repeating to myself, this is just a game. This is just a game. It helps me a lot. It really helps me a lot to be able to get that distance from the horror that's down here. This is a horrific timeline. This is not a fun timeline. It never was meant to be. And, we think that it's bad now, but it wasn't. No, it was. Right from the beginning. Right from the beginning. All that happened was it was hidden. This is the difference. We were in that dark and we didn't see it, but it was going on. Bloody hell, it was going on. I mean, really, nothing more than entering into the 20th century. World War I, World War II, it's just been Vietnam, it's been non-stop horror. But it was always covered over. And so on the face of it, everything looked nice. On the newspaper headlines, fear was instilled. But it was like everything was okay. But it wasn't. It was awful. It was awful. And it's only now that we're seeing it. Now that we're in the light, we're seeing it for what it is. And even, books like that, opening up the history of this particular timeline, showing how bad it was from the very beginning. When you look back, when I was a kid, I thought everything was wonderful. Wonderful, and what a beautiful world and all of that. And then you read and you understand what was going on with the politicians and what they were up to, and the royal family and what they were up to. It was dreadful. It's always been dreadful. From the beginning to now. The only difference is that we can see it now. And my question to me is, did I know that before I came here? I suppose I must have. I must have known what this was all about. But now that I do know here, and I'm fully aware that I don't know shit. I think I know it. I don't know shit. I don't know that of that. But the bit that I do know is like, really, really, and I agreed to come here, really knowing what I know now. And maybe it's a million times worse, I don't know. Or a million times better. I think I prefer to think that. But I still came. So the reason that I have hope is that I chose to come here. And I don't consider myself to be stupid. So there must be a jolly good reason to be here, even though it's a bit rough. It's a bit rough around the edges and in the middle and everywhere. It's a bit rough. But anyway, and the same with you. You're watching this, you know that you came here, and you know that there must be a bloody good reason. There must be. I mean, this is fast track. Remember, this timeline is fast track. They say you'll get your rewards in heaven. Definitely. If you were here, you will get your rewards in heaven. And so will I. And we will be deserving of those rewards, I think. Because this is tough. But it's just a game. It's a tough game. So our thumbs. I watched a guy on a video today, and he was a gadget man, and I was looking, and both of his thumbs were bent over, and I thought, do you think that's with just spending your life playing those games? I don't know. Weird. Anyway, so we have to get our thumbs, giving it welly on that game, and try not to die. That's the bottom line, I suppose. Try not to die on the video game. Keep yourself going. Yeah. But if you do, well, it doesn't matter. We're going to come back. Just not on this timeline. I'm coming back, for sure, but not on this timeline. Thank you very much. I'm going to have something else. A bit of, as I've said before, a bit of Little House on the Prairie, being a farmer, working the land, no phones, no internet, just milking cows and chewing bits of grass and perhaps playing the guitar as well. That might be nice, but nothing beyond that. Thank you very much. What would be your ideal return? What timeline would you like to come on? Put that in the comments. I'd be interested to read it. I love you all, and I'll speak to you all later. Bye-bye.